All right, welcome back to another Elevated Marketing podcast where we attempt to simplify complicated digital marketing topics. I think today's one's pretty complicated, wouldn't you say?
For sure. And I think it'll be complicated for a while.
There you go. You might be sick of hearing about AI, and so I have to be the one to bring in another topic, but I think this is a good one, and I think a lot of people, if you're sitting on the other end and you're in charge of budgets for marketing, you might be thinking, can I save money by using AI for marketing? And the answer would be
Maybe.
maybe, but probably not yet.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I just want to have kind of a great conversation to talk about like why you can't necessarily replace your marketing team by using AI tools, right?
Yeah. Well, it's kind of, in a sense, like maybe it's cutting costs, but is it cutting corners?
Yeah. Yeah. Um, you know, the first thought I kind of think about is at the bottom line when we're talking about marketing, your job is to capture somebody's attention.
Yeah.
And when you think about the basis of how these tools are created, specifically I'm talking about like using ChatGPT or Perplexity to write your content. It's based off of using the most logical next word next, the next logical word. And what that does is kind of create this like sea of sameness, or it's telling you what everybody else has already said. So when you think about it that way, is it really going to capture somebody's attention if somebody has already said it before?
No, and it definitely plays into, we know that there's oversaturation of content being produced because of AI, and that kind of falls in line with that. A lot of the content that we are seeing is very similar to one another. So in that same aspect of, whether it's creating messages or strategizing ideas for a campaign, it's likely going to be pretty similar to possibly some of your competitors.
Yeah, which is good. In essence of telling you what everybody else has said, but it's not going to make you stand out. It's not going to make you different, and it's certainly not going to bring you traffic or attention if it's the same. So, you're not really saving money by using it. It is, and in essence, the person that is creating the content is helping them be better at writing and to know and synthesize everything that's been said, but it's not necessarily saving you money and resources. It's just making better writers, is what I think.
Yeah. If anything, if there is an over-reliance on that, then it could be costing you money.
Yeah. There's an MIT study I just saw that came out, and it was looking at the brain activity of somebody who was regularly using like ChatGPT and not using it, and like there's this huge loss of brain loss after 6 months, and I was like, oh boy.
Yeah, that's kind of scary.
That's a possible reality.
Yeah.
When it comes to saving money, what I think the entire AI industry has done is done a brilliant job in marketing and showcasing to you all the things that can, possibly be done. But when you get in there and start using this, there's definitely a big lift of understanding how to use them. And they're not exactly producing what they're showing in their big marketing campaign that they have going on. It's a little bit misleading.
It's definitely misleading. And, even those who are seasoned in marketing and also maybe using some AI tools, you definitely cannot be cutting corners on that, but you have to have the knowledge and the information of, okay, well, is this misleading? Because we definitely are getting those misleading answers.
Yeah.
You know,
I mean, in their marketing playbook is they use the shock and awe of, all marketers will be gone and there won't be any marketing jobs. And, that's what got you into this search of, can I save money by using AI for marketing, which is getting you to buy the products, which is definitely, great for them. But then you get in there and it's almost like with a lot of software tools that I've done. Again, I'm not downplaying what AI can do and that it's not great, but it's definitely not what it is being sold as.
no, I would totally agree.
Yeah.
And I know we've mentioned this in the past, but there are cases where AI can get a little lazy. And so, when you're thinking about purchasing a tool that is strictly AI for your marketing, just know it could get a little lazy.
It's not following instructions, and I feel like we're kind of getting to this space where like we're having to work harder for it, which I you know I'm not afraid of that because I understand the basics of marketing, and so
Yeah.
does everybody on this team, so that we're going to be able to still use it.
Yeah.
But what these tools don't do is they don't understand like human emotion. Like, they understand parts of it, but they're not going to understand. They're going to make this robot made like creativity, and it's just not going to make sense.
Yeah, and a lot of what is in those outputs can definitely be a little dry. And where that human emotion is lacking is because there is that reliance on a robot AI to, kind of give that touch. And that's just not really feasible.
Well, and at the heart of all good marketing is creativity. And the way that these AI is built is, it's built off of algorithms and repeatable information. If you tell me this, this, and this, and it's going to always come to this conclusion. And so the problem is that it's not exploratory, and it's not going to go out there and create something new that never existed before. It's just going to give you ideas of what has already been done. And so you're not going to save money. It's going to cost you money because your marketing is going to not work as well. It's just going to be repetitive of what everybody else is doing.
Yeah, everyone will start to sound the same if it's not happening already. I mean, we've definitely seen instances where we're like, I think we've seen that before, maybe a few
Yeah.
times before.
And it definitely hallucinates, to a degree. And if you know what you're doing, you're like, oh, okay, well, that's not right.
Right.
You
Yeah.
know, I think, I might eat my words later as this evolves, and none of us really know where, the next level of AI, maybe it does start to get more creative. And I'm not saying that it doesn't give you like some ideas to kind of work with, but you have to have that human in there that decides and understands the client and the strategy and where they're at and how that ties in and can flow together. It's definitely not something you can just put in there and just automate your marketing.
For sure. And you have to know, like, what should I be asking AI if I'm trying to create a marketing strategy? Well,
Yeah.
if you ask it, create me a marketing strategy, you're going to get all kinds of stuff.
You're going to get the most boring thing ever.
Yeah. So the prompting, and we've known for a while, the prompting is how you get higher quality outputs, but it all starts with strategy there and what you're asking, what your goals are, your objectives. And sometimes it's just not that easy to ask it something.
Well, and the strategy is also a difficult part because you're not going to know, or AI is not going to know where somebody is at. You know, it's not sophisticated enough to take a look at your data and realize, oh, you have problem B or you have problem A, And it's not sophisticated to know that if you have problem B or problem A, you should probably do this type of marketing.
Mm-hmm.
So that's just like another reason why, you can't just give it over there. And I can't even imagine if it had all that information. I'm just trying to think of this world where you just automate your marketing. And if you think about that for just a little bit, if it was that easy just to automate to convince somebody to buy a product or service, like, it's not.
Well,
It's so wrong.
you're exactly right. And there's also, another side to that too, where maybe there could be some privacy concerns in that. If you're giving all of this information, who's to say that's not going to be used in someone else's output?
Yeah, yeah. It's just there's a lot of parts to marketing that it just really isn't routine.
Yeah.
And when we first take on a client at first, we're onboarding, two clients right now. It's a little messy at first because you're doing a lot of auditing and saying, okay, do they have this? Do they have that? They're missing this. I see this problem. I'm looking at this data. And that is just not something that is achievable with AI. And I don't think it's ever going to quite get there. I might eat my words later. But, it does help in some ways as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, there's maybe some more, I don't know, let's say like administrative things that it can help just move along quicker.
Yeah.
As far as like really digging deep and helping to paint a bigger picture, it's not going to get into all those details.
No. I mean, if tasks are repetitive, if they're data heavy, if they're operational in nature, I mean, it's definitely a time saving gift. And what I love about all that is over the years, like, marketing has gotten more and more fragmented, and there's more and more things that we have to look at as marketers. And because of this, because of AI, we're actually, here we've kind of taught ourselves to be more well-rounded. And we're able to do that because we can, learn things pretty quickly by using AI. If we need to, we can understand different industries that we possibly never did before.
Yeah, definitely. And I think too, especially in cases where there's maybe more branding aspects, and really digging it deeper into that, but also maybe more buyer personas as well.
Yeah.
It can definitely help pull out some details that maybe we wouldn't have thought about, but we had a good basis to start with, and that's what led us to a better result.
And that's because creating a buyer persona is pretty repetitive. There are things that are bases in there, and it creates us our first level of buyer persona, then to go back and have that conversation with the client. But that doesn't mean it's a plug and play, like create the buyer persona and go from there. No, because every business is a little bit different, and it might hit on some aspects of who you want to talk to, but not all aspects.
Exactly. And there are definitely skills that AI can't touch. Thinking about who we're speaking to and, a brand's just branding in general, their identity.
Yeah. Well, just having that conversation, AI can't do that. It can't sit there and have that conversation back and forth. And so that's where the human element comes in.
Yeah.
But it does create that space to really allow the marketer to get back to the creative thinking.
Mm-hmm.
I think some things that we don't really think about when it comes to creativity, we've said it before, you can't put a time clock on it, but when you're so go, 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 and I feel like we're still go, go, go as we're learning all of these new tools and different ways to use AI to be more efficient. But, when we get out on the other side, the hope is that that's going to unlock some time in order for us to actually be creative. Because I know when I come back from a weekend or whatever, like, I've got lots of ideas because I was able just to sit there and think.
For sure. And I will say too, like, sometimes we find ourselves, I know I can speak from experience, I'll find myself in a creative rut, and I can go use an AI tool just to help me start some brainstorming. And at least then I have a starting list of some things that maybe I can work off of and really develop. But I would agree, it definitely creates that space to get back into creative thinking.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think the strategy here is it's got to be human plus AI. It's not really like an either or situation. You have to have both. We wrote a big giant blog on this, but I try to make like a bunch of points in there, and I'm sure you and I could probably talk about this all day long. But until you actually like do the marketing, I think, if you're not the one doing the marketing, you're trying to decide, can I save money by using marketers? And I know this is coming from the marketer to say it, but it's not quite what it's being sold to be.
Yeah, it's definitely one of those, that's a little too good to be true scenarios.
Great tool, don't get me wrong, but it's a fast evolving tool. So even if you've got like a junior person, if they're not, well advanced in marketing or had somebody, they're not going to know what is good and what's not good. And so it's kind of junk in, junk out.
For sure. Yeah, you can't just take AI's word and run with it. It's
not going to work. All right. Well, I think that's it for today's topic. If you enjoyed today's show, certainly head over to elevatedmarketing.solutions and sign up for our newsletter. Or you can go follow me over on LinkedIn, Jennifer Denney, Denney. I realized when I was editing, I need to spell my name so it gets it correctly. So, all right. Take care.